Hello, this is Mr. White. I will be reading pages 93 to 107 of The Wild Robot by Peter Brown, starting with chapter 33, The Garden. After inspecting the grounds, Tawny asked Roz to remove all the dried brambles and weeds and leaves from the garden area. She asked her burrowing friends, the moles and the groundhogs, to dig through the dirt and loosen the soil. And then she asked all the neighbors to do something rather peculiar. Please leave your droppings around the nest. The more droppings, the richer the soil, the healthier the garden. As you can imagine, Tawny's request got everyone's attention. The place was soon crawling with woodland creatures curious to hear more about the garden project. And just like that, the robot was meeting her neighbors. The plan to help her make friends was already starting to work. There was a festive feeling around the nest that day. Animals were coming and going and chatting and laughing. After some pleasant conversation, each neighbor would choose their spot, leave their droppings, and be on their way. And as always, with a smile. We're happy to help, said two smiling weasels after finishing up their business. It was our pleasure, said a flock of smiling sparrows who, before they flew away. I shouldn't be much longer now, said a smiling turtle as he slowly made his way to contribution. As all this was going on, Roz walked all around and thanked everyone. I am not capable of defecating, she explained, so your droppings are most appreciated. Once the grounds were fertilized, it was time for the plants. Tawny brought Roz and Bright Bill out to the lush meadow. The robot sank her fingers into the ground and felt the spongy layer of roots below the grass. Slowly, carefully, she rolled up the wide strips of sod, exposing the dark, wormy soil. She carried the rolls back to the nest and spread them out to make a patchy lawn. Then she transplanted clumps of wildflowers and clovers and berries and shrubs and herbs until the nest was surrounded by a scraggly collection of plants. It's not much to look at now, said Tawny, but the grass will grow into these gaps and the flowers and bushes should perk up in a few days. I'll return soon to make sure it's all taking root. Before long, this will be a lovely wild garden. Chapter 34, The Mother. Like most goslings, Bright Bill followed his mother everywhere. He was a slow, tottering little thing, but Roz was rarely in a hurry, and together they loved meandering along the forest paths and around the banks of the pond. However, they spent most of their time right in their own garden. You see, the garden was no longer scraggly. Thanks to the robot's careful attention, it was now bursting with colors and scents and flavors. Clearly, Roz was designed to work with plants. Oh, Roz, you've been busy, said Tawny as her family grazed on the wonderland of growing things. This garden is glorious. You'll be seeing quite a lot of us around here. Tawny meant what she said. Each morning around daybreak, Roz and Bright Bill would hear quiet footsteps outside the nest, and there would be Tawny and Crown Point and their fawns, Willow, Thistle, and Brook happily nibbling on the garden. The deer weren't the only regular visitors. The beavers came quite fond of gnawing on a certain hardy shrub at the edge of the garden. Dig down, the old groundhog popped up to munch on berries. Broadfoot, the giant bull moose, came by to chew on tree shoots. And of course, bees and butterflies were there every day, happily floating through the flowers. There always seemed to be friendly animals hanging around the garden. It was amazing how differently everyone treated Roz these days. Animals who once ran from the robot in fear now stopped by the nest just to spend time with her. The neighbors smiled and waved whenever Roz and Bright Bill wandered past. And at the dawn truce, the other mothers were eager to share their parenting advice. Make sure Bright Bill gets plenty of rest. A tired gosling is a cranky gosling. When the wind starts blowing from the north, you must immediately get Bright Bill to safety. North winds always bring bad weather. You'll never be the perfect mother, so just do the best you can. All Bright Bill really needs is to know you're doing your best. No gosling ever had a more attentive mother. Roz was always there, ready to answer her son's questions, or to play with him, or to rock him to sleep, or to whisk him away from danger. With the computer brain packed full of parenting advice and the lessons she was learning on her own, the robot was actually becoming an excellent mother. Chapter 35, The First Swim. Good afternoon, you two, said Loudwig as she waddled into the garden. Remember me, Brightbill? Loudwig. Very good, the old goose giggled. Now, Roz, do you know what tomorrow is? Tomorrow is swimming day, the day when all the parents take their goslings out of the pond for the first time. And then you simply must bring Brightbill. Swim, swim, said the gosling, shaking his tail feathers. Brightbill can go, said Roz, but I cannot swim. I cannot go on the pond with him. I will not be able to protect him. Who'd have thought a big thing like you would be afraid of a little water? Loudwig laughed. Well, don't you worry about Brightbill. He'll be safe in the flock, and he's going to have so much fun swimming with the other goslings. We begin at sunrise. Don't be late. See you in the morning. And with that, the goose plopped into the water and glided away. Swim, swim, said the gosling. Yes, Brightbill, said the robot, staring at the pond. Swim, swim. Early the next morning, peeps and honks and splashes began echoing across the calm water. Roz and Brightbill followed a trail through the fog and over to the beach that was crawling with fluffy goslings and proud parents. Roz took a few steps into the water and her survival instincts immediately flared up. The robot's computer brain knew that if water got inside her body, it could do serious damage. And so, as the other parents began swimming across the pond, Roz stood safely in the shallows and watched. Brightbill ran up and down the beach with the other goslings, peeping and laughing and pretending to be afraid of the tiny waves. When one finally pulled him in, he felt his body floating on top of the water. A big smile appeared on the gosling's face. Clearly, Brightbill was designed to swim. Very good, Brightbill, said Loudwig as she floated past. You are natural. Yes, Brightbill, you are a natural, said Roz, trying to sound like a good mother. Loudwig rounded up all the goslings and gave them a quick swimming lesson. Remember, everyone, paddle your feet evenly to swim in a straight line. Paddle with your right foot to go left and paddle with your left foot to go right. Try it out and join the rest of us when you're ready. Happy swimming day. Loudwig and the other adult geese calmly glided toward the center of the pond. A jumble of goslings tried to keep up with them. The youngsters jostled and splashed and peeped with excitement, and gradually they paddled in the direction of their parents. Only Brightbill lagged behind. Mama, swim? Roz pointed to the flock. I cannot swim. Go have fun with the other geese. You will be safe with them. The gosling took a deep breath. When he shook his tail feathers and paddled his feet and set out on his very first swim, he drifted too far to the left, then he drifted too far to the right, but his feet just kept paddling until he caught up to the other goslings. Roz spent the morning watching her son swim around and around the pond, and as she watched him, she felt something like gratitude. Thanks to Brightbill, the robot now had friends and shelter and help. Thanks to Brightbill, the robot had become better at surviving. In a way, Roz needed Brightbill as much as Brightbill needed Roz, which was precisely why she felt such concern. When the mood on the pond suddenly changed. One moment, everything was tranquil, and the next moment, the geese were in panic. Something was violently sloshing through the group. It was a rockmouth, the giant toothy pike. The fish had been a problem in the pond for as long as anyone could remember, but he'd never attacked goslings before. All the parents immediately went to protect their young. All the parents except Roz. The robot could only stand in the shallows and watch as her son left the other geese behind and desperately swam toward his mother. Swim to me, Brightbill, quickly. The gosling kicked as fast as he could, but alone on the water, he made an easy target. The pond rippled as rockmouth slashed below the surface. Mama, help, squeaked Brightbill. The robot was terribly conflicted. Part of her knew she had to help her son, but another part knew she had to stay out of deep water. Her body lurched forward and then backward again and again as she struggled to make a decision. And then Loudwig came to the rescue. Rockmouth, don't you dare harm that little darling. The old goose fluttered over and splashed down right on top of the fish. Leave him alone. She pecked and kicked and beat her wings against the fish until he surrendered to the murky depths of the pond. Loudwig escorted Brightbill back to the beach, and a minute later, the gosling was in his mother's arms, safe and sound. Rockmouth isn't as dangerous as he seems, said the goose out of breath, but I think that's enough swimming for one day. Chapter 36, The Gosling Grows. Brightbill soon forgot about the incident with Rockmouth, and he spent his mornings cruising around the pond with the other goslings. He was becoming a great little swimmer. He was also becoming a great little speaker. Hello, my name is Brightbill, he said to anyone who would listen. The gosling was small for his age, and he always would be, but he was growing bigger and stronger by the day. His increasing size was matched by his increasing appetite. He gobbled down grass and berries and nuts and leaves. Sometimes he'd snack on little insects. If it was edible, Brightbill would eat it. And even if it wasn't edible, he might eat it anyway. Roz felt something like fright for the fright the time she saw Brightbill swallowing pebbles on the beach. She was holding him upside down, hoping the pebbles would fall out of his mouth when Loudwig stepped in. Put the gosling down, said the goose with a laugh. It's perfectly natural for Brightbill to eat a few pebbles. They'll help him digest his food, but not too many, okay, little one? Like most youngsters, Brightbill was incredibly curious. He explored the garden and the pond and the forest floor. He would occasionally explore neighboring homes. He'd wander down some hole in the ground and say to whoever was there, "Hello, my name is Brightbill." Then a long robot arm would reach in and pull the gosling back outside. "Sorry to bother you," Roz would say in her friendliest voice. The mother and son slipped into a good nighttime routine. While the gosling slept, the robot might tend the fire if it was cool out, or gently fan him if it was warm. If he woke up hungry or thirsty, Roz brought him food or water. And whenever he had nightmares, she was always there to rock him back to sleep. That's page 107. Thank you for listening.